Before we get started, anyone interested in ordering Mr. Lindell's 4-CD set, go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. For those in the U.S., you can order physical copies or the digital downloads. For those outside the U.S., you can order the digital downloads by going to metaphysicalarttheater.com.
How you doing, sir? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Very well.
Well, good. How you doing, sir?
Just fine, thank you. And you?
I'm doing great. And today we're going to be talking about attitude awareness and imaginational control. You have what you say. Is that true?
Absolutely. That's my favorite subject. I know I preach it enough, don't I?
That's true, but it's needed.
I know. And you know, it's like Neville said, man has such a poor memory. I came up here and I was bringing a cup of coffee up with me, but I got here and sat down and I never had the coffee. It was downstairs in the microwave. So, see, that's what I mean. You're someplace else, but you don't realize that you're not here now. That's the important time in your life, is right here now, because it's always now. Isn't it?
It is. You know, and that goes back to our earlier conversation. It goes back to focus. You know, I think a lot of times we're so distracted with so many things that we fail to focus on what's important.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, you say focused on so many things. He says they're scattered. You understand? You're thinking of 1,000 different things in a day's time. But what is it that you recognize or agree with that you're following through with? That is your daily life. Because you're always thinking ahead of your evidence. And that is the point I'm trying to make to you. People say, well, that's always easier said than done. Thank God it's easier said than done. That's what we were given to do, to say it, to say our say. And if God tells you to say your say, then it's valid. In other words, it's productive. It produces your everyday life, and you're in charge if you're aware to claim charge. You being in charge. Actually, you are all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. And that's the whole idea, is just being more aware of what it is you're discussing with yourself. Because you're suggesting things to yourself all the time. And maybe you don't realize it, but you're guiding yourself with those suggestions, aren't you?
That's true. And a lot of times we may not realize being aware of attitude awareness and imaginational control. You have a valid say.
Yeah, but you got to use it as a valid say. And knowing that it is valid, in other words, you're going to produce the results of what you're thinking and feeling, you'll start changing your thinking and feeling, because you'll be suffering the effects of not doing so. And you want relief. Isn't that the word, relief? Isn't that what everybody's looking for?
It
relief?
Really is. No matter what they call it, ultimately what they do want is relief from something.
That's right. Well, or even many things. Well, it's, you know, actually, it's so super simple, because it's just a person's attitudes. Isn't it really?
It is.
I mean, what would you change? Your attitudes. That's what's holding you back if you feel you're being held back. If you feel you're being denied anything, it's you denying you, so give it up. You're told let go and let God. If you got a problem, all you have to do is start thinking about your problem, and it grows. Because everything you're thinking upon is growing in that nature. So if you're upset, your whole world gets upset, and your body gets upset. Your body listens to everything you say, and it takes the feeling it gets from what you're saying and makes your world what it is, physically, mentally. Because this is a psychological drama. You're told very plainly in Scripture, as within, so without. And you're in charge. That is, if you'll take charge, that's all there is to it. If you keep it simple, you can remember it. If you start getting off in all the theologies, it'll drive you crazy. That's all it'll do, wouldn't you say?
I would. You said earlier, people often think upon their problems, and of course, the only thing that can reproduce is more problems. And someone said it in the Facebook group recently, you got to think about your solutions.
Yeah, be the solution. Don't think about it. Be the solution. You're told, be a thing. That means you can be it, but you must do so. Wouldn't you say?
I would say, and I'm glad that you phrased it, be the solution, because another person and I were talking recently, and we were talking about the whatsoever a person can have anything, but what people fail to remember is you can have according to what it is you believe, and in this case, what you become, being. Would you agree?
Yeah, because it's as you think you are. You're told very plainly, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's it. He, she, yeah, that's it. Attitude awareness is being aware of your attitudes, because that you have selected as your guide. Your attitudes are your guide. That's it. But where are you going with it? I mean, it gets kind of spooky when you think about it, doesn't it?
It does, but when you're talking about attitudes being the guide, then of course, imaginational control would actually be the destination when we start getting a focus on what it is that the end in mind is what we would call it. When we get that end in mind and begin living from that, that's the end goal. Would you agree?
Yeah, that you're told, be it. What is the it? It is what you desire. Be it. Just start being it mentally, physically. Start being it. I don't care how prepared you think you have to be. You don't. If you turn to me, I'll turn to you, and that's it. That's the power. The power. You're given God's power to animate your world as you see it is, regardless of whether that's good or otherwise. So you're given, choose this day. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is, and we talk about, as you think you are, which is great, but I think that you're touching on something that's paramount, and I think that a lot of people miss. People affirm, but they never become.
Yeah, actually, just ask them this. What are you agreeing with? Is that what you're doing? Well, you should see the faces. The thing of it is that you do have to hit the nail on the head.
You do,
and that's what it is. I'm not bullying anybody. I'm just telling you what it is I experienced. I went through this. That's how I know it. That's why I'm here telling you. Attitude. And all you had to do was ask. And that's what Neville told us all the time, didn't he?
Absolutely.
You receive not because you ask not, or that you're asking amiss. So I thought, well, what is this asking amiss? And boy, did I find out that it was me. I was the one who was asking amiss. And I was receiving regardless of what it was I was asking. And that's what the problem is that if you think mostly on your problems, you'll get a flood of them. Because you're asking for that very thing by your feeling that that is the state that you're in. But you can change your state. And it's called change your mind, change your world. And why would God tell you to change your mind, to change your world, if you couldn't do it? And if you can, choose this day, right?
Absolutely. You know, you talked about changing one's mind to change one's world. And again, when you begin to change one's mind, you're getting into the state of being that which you claim that you desire.
That's it. You're right. Absolutely. That's exactly it. You see, it's always your choice. Sometimes I'll sit and I'll watch television for hours. But rarely, except for just to get the weather in that. But other than that, I have better things to do to entertain myself that are productive in my world of everydayness experiencing. Because all the sitcoms are enjoyable for a time, but too much of anything, even if you drank too much water, you drowned, right?
There's definitely a point to that, because, of course, there are people that have actually injured themselves by truly drinking too much water. So, absolutely. So, what would you suggest for the person that's trying to get on track?
To get on track. That's it. Look, just ask yourself this. What do you believe? Are you practicing what you're saying that you believe? That's the secret. That's the whole secret, isn't it?
It is the secret. You know, and as simple as that may sound, for some, they hear that, and of course, they know that that's not the case. They're not living out what it is that they say that they believe. So what we need to do is begin analyzing, or at least looking at our beliefs. You said an unexamined life is not worth living. If we're not getting what it is that we want, then we really need to look at our beliefs.
Of course. That's all you have to do. Go sit in the silence for a while. That's where the magic is, in the silence, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's in the silence. That's when you've turned over yourself to God. This is what I would like to have. And then you should start having it. I am that. See, whining and crying to God is really not wise. Because, you see, all things produce after their own kind. And all you'll get is more to whine and cry about. Because subconscious mind is in control of making the without of your worlds from your thoughts and feelings. And it will never question what you're thinking feelingly about. If you feel it, you got it. It's made. And the whole vast world on the without is secondhand. Why I call it secondhand land? Because that's what it is, secondhand. It's as within, what's going on within. That's what's important to you. And that's what you want, what's important to you. What are you doing within? Thinking, feelingly, suggesting to yourself about what? Just ask yourself often, where am I going with this that I'm thinking? Is it leading me where I want to go, or is it just wasting time? Because the time is wasted if you don't enjoy it. Wouldn't you say?
I would say. You know, you spoke about secondhand land. Most of us have been brought up to live life in reverse. So we look at secondhand land, and then we allow secondhand land to determine how we feel, we think, we act.
That's right. That's right. And what are you paying attention to? You see, you will get what you look for, because what you're looking for is looking for you. And if you're looking for something that's not nice, you're going to experience it, because as you think feelingly, you're building your world of experiencing moment by moment. Right now, because right now is the time that you do it. And what? Change your world. I am that, my ideal. Now I am. I may be poor at it and inexperienced at it, but I'll get better every day. And that's it. And that's what you focus on. I am that, your dream, your mission, your goal. Be it. Be passionate about being it in mind, in imagination, in the theater of mind. That's where we do our work of creating our world of experiencing, whether we're aware or not that we're doing so. Isn't that so?
It is so. And you said, at first, I may even be poor at doing whatever it is that I've clothed myself in doing, this new becoming, as it were, this new state. But as you continue on in the new state, you become better and better.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what you practice, you get better at it. That's it, and that's what it is. It's you feeling after, you being, doing. But if you're imagining something in your mind, and there are a lot of people in what you're imagining, and is it not you dreaming them up? And when you awake, where do they go? See, you're doing it all the time, but you're not even aware of what it is you're doing. And so you don't recognize it until you are experiencing it. And then you're wondering, why me? Why this? Why now? Because you keep practicing thinking about it. That's why, isn't it?
It is right. It is right. And it's so many things that we think that are a coincidence or just haphazardly keep manifesting itself in our lives. And of course, we've given it power because, of course, as you stated earlier, we've given it attention.
Yeah. And it's your life that it's experiencing. You see, just as God is experiencing what you're doing, you're experiencing what you're doing in mind. And you're the one who's feeding your mind what? You see, because it's not going to question you. It'll record everything you say. Every word must be accounted for. So it's recorded, and you can't deny it. You see, even though you keep denying yourself, you can't deny that it's you denying you. It came out right in my head, did it?
It came out right, and The truth of the matter is we continue to deny the thing that we're denying, and we deny that we're the one denying it.
Very good. Very good. I think that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. Okay.
I just repeated what you said, so it's true.
Oh, okay.
And as that sounds like a tongue twister, it comes down to what you often say: all denial is self-denial.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. If you're not happy, it's you denying yourself the happiness. Simple as that. And why and how? Okay, because as you think, you are. Now, if you'll just check on what you're thinking and what you are because of your thinking, you might want to change your mind for the better. And that's all you're asked to do, is to think on things that are lovely and of good report, or better and better, whatever that is to you. So it's as simple as that, isn't it?
It is, and I just want to give an example. I had received a utility bill, and the utility bill was like skyrocket. It was very unlike what I was accustomed to for this type of this time of year, based off of the usage. And so I ended up calling the utility company to find out. And what I found out was that I was on what they call a variable rate. So, of course, the normal rate was half of what my variable rate was. And simply what it took for me to do was change it. And so, such is life. A lot of times life seems like it's spiraling out of control. But if we take inventory and look at our variable rate mindset, how it's going up and down, as opposed to the fixed mindset and says, I'm in control of this. When we begin to reassess and take control, life changes.
Yep. I agree with you. They're out of control. That's it. I was out of control. That's how I know they're out of control, because I found out it was me who was in control, even though I was out of control. It takes getting on track. And to get on track, all you have to do is start choosing what you're thinking about being on the track. Isn't that it?
That's it. As simple as it is, that's it. Choosing what you're thinking about. And it goes back to your question, can you choose your next thought?
Yeah, that's it. See, and then just don't stop. And then you're choosing this day. Just keep it simple, really. That's really, you get caught up in all the religious talk and ceremonies and all of that, and you lose the essence of what is being said into the mass mind reasoning. And that's, you're told to be in the world, but not to be of the world. And that is being of the world when you're listening to natural man mind reasoning, giving you the shoulds and should nots. It's always up to you, not them. But if you give them your power, you see, God doesn't like that. He tells you he's a jealous God. He doesn't want you to give his power away. He gave it to you, and you're to use it wisely. Or, however, whatever you think, whatever you choose, because that's what you were given, choose this day. And if he gave you choose this day, that means he gave you the power of choosing this day. And that's the power, not a power, the power. Feel after him, and you'll find him. That's the you, doing, being, and having your ideal. Are you willing? It's not about worthiness. It's about willingness. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that a lot of times people look at other folks and they think that they're so spiritual and they're like, well, they have all this insight, but they got it the same way that any other person will get it. And it's by being willing and saying, literally, whether you say it verbally or just the curiosity, saying, Lord, open up the eyes of your servant that he or she may see. And then we become open to those things outside of ourselves. Would you agree?
Yes. In other words, look, you have to know where you're going, what you're aiming at, and have focus on what you're aiming at to hit the target. Otherwise, you shoot wildly, but you're using your energy and you're attracting what you're not wanting, and that's not what we're given to do. You're given to choose this day what you want, not what others say you should have to be this, to be that, but what you're thinking about, and make sure it's what you're thinking and not ego thinking for you, because he will. He really, really will. But yet, he is just another side of you. Otherwise, he wouldn't exist. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And it's so true. You know, a lot of times we look at the temptations of Jesus, you know, and the story of him being tempted. he was being tempted by ego, but he couldn't have been tempted by something that wasn't in him as a desire.
Absolutely. And actually, you see, he didn't have a problem with praying out loud so that others would understand what they're asking and how they're asking. See, you never heard Jesus whining and crying to God or begging God. He just said, "Thank you, Father," and that was the end of his prayer. And the outward talk was really to let the people know that their talking is taken into consideration in building their world of experiencing. So be mindful of what you're saying, even to yourself. What you're saying is important for you to understand and to recognize what you're creating in your world of experiencing. Lovely and a good report. Isn't that the report?
That's the report. And it says, of course, that we would give an account for every idle word.
Yeah, really. That's tough, isn't it?
It is. It is. You know, people will often send a message and they will say, well, I just can't believe that, everything that I'm thinking is that I'm giving an account for, and I said, don't worry about the everything. Just focus on the predominant thoughts.
Yeah, really. Focus on what you want to experience, not what you don't want to experience. And you'll have to admit that when you're worried about something, you're actually seeing yourself suffering what you're worrying about. And that's you being conscious, and consciousness is always being objectified. In other words, you're assembling your future moment by moment in your own thinking and feeling. And, well, I hope it keeps you warm.
And most of us haven't been taught, and of course, it's just, like I said, because of teachers, educators, religious leaders, that even worrying is the prayer, even though in Scripture it says, fear not, 365 days. So it's giving us a fear not for every day of the year, including leap year. But we still focus on worrying, fearing, thinking that somehow that's going to bring about a resolution.
Oh, it does. Did you like the resolution?
Absolutely.
See, the idea isn't can you create. The fact is you are creating your world of experiencing. They themselves are makers of themselves. That's the story. You're making yourself. Are you satisfied with what you're doing? If not, I think you should change the image somewhat, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that many of us think that that's more difficult, but the truth of the matter is we're always imaging. Now, there are those who say, well, I just can't see things in my imagination. No, it's not true. I mean, if we think about what we want to eat for dinner, that's seeing things in our imagination.
Can I ask a question of the people there? Why would anyone just sit and think over and over on a thought they understand is negative? You see, they're not really aware of the fact that they're creating their future moment by moment right out of their own thinking and feeling. Now, if they would focus on that long enough to get enough pieces of evidence to support that idea over whatever other idea you're holding at the moment, because it will, and I say it does do so, just feel it being so in your own mind, in your own imagination, in the theater of mind. You can construct a better world of experiencing moment by moment. Think only on things that are lovely and of good report. Isn't that the story?
That's the story. And more is better. For those who say, well, you just can't think that all the time, more is better.
That's it. That's it. That really that is what we're all about, isn't it?
It is.
That's it. I mean, everybody's looking for a better life. Well, more is better. And if you build on what's happening, you get more of what happened. Isn't that right?
It is right. And let me clarify for those who say, well, what do you mean more is better? Even if at first 30% of your thoughts are positive and 70% are negative, just keep doing it more and more. And what's going to happen is it's going to flip-flop. Pretty soon you're going to be doing 51% positive thoughts, and you're going to be manifesting that in your life. So just a little more each day is better.
Yeah, I like that. That a little more each day. That's it.